Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We got Zac Twardowski with us and Jake Wambaugh, two new dads.
True.
You guys are both, 28 years old?
27.
I'm 28.
28?
Yeah.
And you have a 5-week-old?
5 weeks on Wednesday. Yep.
Congrats. You getting any sleep?
I am. I can't take credit for any of the night shift stuff, so I can't. I mean, I'm doing fine, but hopefully my lady will be on the same program as me soon. She's not sleeping as much, but she's a trooper. So,
That's awesome, man.
yeah.
I got lucky like that too.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'll let you kind of introduce him and what's going on, and we'll get into some of the awesome sales stuff you guys got going on.
For sure. So Jake and I have been talking probably for like 4 or 5 months, something like that.
Something like that.
And he was wanting to get into insurance because he saw the potential of building a business, but he wasn't licensed and was like, honestly, he wanted to like kind of work around everything besides you getting licensed and selling.
Yep.
And so I kept like, wasn't sure if you were serious. So we'd kind of like talk, and then I'd be like, I don't know, like and just kind of move on. And we kept reconnecting. And then eventually I was like, dude, like if you ever really want to build a business and hire all these people and recruit agents and get them to actually sell, like A, you're going to need to be licensed, and B, you're going to have to sell. And I think you took it really well because you played college football, you played Division I college football. And like, I remember you telling me, you're like, oh yeah, I'll do that, you know?
Yeah.
And I think you wanted to recruit because you saw the vision, but you just needed me to be direct and go like, hey, so you've been licensed at the time of this recording for like a month and some change, been selling for like 3 weeks, and have sold over 15 apps, I think, or over 10 apps a week, every week for the last 3 weeks, all IUL sales. So we can definitely dive into a bunch of that stuff, but it'd be cool if you went through kind of your backstory from, you know, growing up the way you did, college football, your prior business, and then kind of what attracted you to working, you know, in the insurance space and with FFL.
Yeah. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me, Andrew. This is a sweet setup. So born and raised in San Diego. I was an only child. It was just me and my mom. Played sports. My mom was a school teacher, super hard worker. No excuses. Just you figure it out. Was fortunate enough to go and play football at the University of Washington. 2014 was my first year there. Was under great coaching staff there, great teammates. Was blessed to be on some really good teams and see kind of how champions operated, and from structure to standards and all that kind of stuff. So that was a really cool experience. I finished there. I really wanted to go into strength and conditioning. So I went and got my master's and coached just down I-5 in Oregon. I finished there. I defended my thesis like maybe a month and a half after COVID had started. It was like just ghost town. There was no mobility in the industry or whatever. I didn't really know what I was going to do. All I knew is I just had gotten this degree. It was really hard to get. I never really had an issue with school. It was just always easy enough, but that was tough. So I had this degree. I was like, I got to use it. So I went back to Seattle. I started doing some like private training with successful like professionals. It was like a private gym. And this was during COVID and stuff. So everything was pretty much shut down. So it was just a lot of like one-on-one, really great people. All my clients, I learned like a ton from them. And so I was doing like this personal training stuff. I had a little business that I was doing on the side relative to like collegiate recruiting to like go from, you know, high school athlete to college athlete and stuff. Had a little bit of success there.
You sold that business, right?
Yes.
Cool.
Yep. Got out of that and continued kind of training. I didn't really have to do much. Like I was just kind of figuring out what I wanted to do next. I knew I couldn't be like a personal trainer forever. It's not really scalable. It's just like you could be the best trainer in the world, but you can only be in one spot at one time for 1 hour at a time with one person. Like there's not really like a way to really scale this. So I was just doing, I enjoyed my clients and they were successful in all different aspects. So it was valuable to me to hear different people's perspective and stuff on, you know, success and how they got to where they got. And so I kind of got to the point where I didn't have any family up in Seattle. I had a house up there. But, you know, I was coming down to San Diego a lot to visit my mom and my family and stuff. And I was like, all right, I want to do something next for a long time, and I want to start a family. I don't think I'm going to do that up here. So I'm like, I think I just got to go back down there. I didn't really know what I was going to do. But I went back to San Diego, and I found insurance a couple months after that. And as Zach kind of alluded to, well, at the beginning, I had just seen guys like Zach and Andrew, like with the integrity deals and all this stuff. And I'm like, that's cool. Like, that's what I want to do. I want to build something, and I want to, you know, do whatever I want to do with my time after that, whatever. And so I was trying to recruit. I didn't have my license, so I wasn't even bringing people in like under my license. I was partnered, you know, with a couple others, and it wasn't working out. Like, they weren't selling, and I didn't know why, because I wasn't selling. So I didn't know their struggles. I didn't know their pain points. I didn't know. It was hard for me to be like, guys, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
Like, I hear like this guy really does like $60K a month or $40K a month or whatever. Go ahead.
No, the other thing is, like, if they tell you something sucks or you can't do it, you have to believe them because you haven't done it.
Yeah, exactly. So all I hear is like, whether it's on like one of these podcasts or like on a national call, like, or leaderboards, I'm like, what? Like, that lady or that guy, they did 30 grand this month, like,
Yeah.
30 families, whatever. I'm like, what the hell? Like, why are guys not doing that? But I couldn't really demand much because I didn't know like what the standard was. Like, I didn't really set it for myself or for them.
When you said once you started selling, you were like, oh, all these excuses like went away for you. You're like, no, these are all not true. I remember
Out the window.
Dude, that happens to me when I don't sell for a long time. I think we were talking about this. If I don't sell for a couple years and then I start to believe everyone, like if Andrew's like, these leads are no good,
suck,
I'm like, maybe they do suck. And then like this last year I sold a little bit again. I'm like, no. Dude, right now with being able to do sales virtually over Zoom or over the phone, anywhere in the country, buy a license anywhere you want and have like literally unlimited clients. I mean, it's like there couldn't be a better time in my mind to sell insurance. When I was new, and then before, like you were doing all paper apps. When I was new, I was flying everywhere to go sell insurance.
No, yeah, me too.
And you were too, yeah. And I was telling Jake about that. He's like, I don't know if I don't want to do that.
I couldn't imagine. I probably wouldn't.
Bro, that's called having a burning desire to win.
100%.
But
I think you would have done it actually.
The thing is, though, dude,
maybe
that set us up to win big because the industry kept getting easier. So like people think it's hard, but we're like, yo, this is easy.
I think that serves you guys as leaders to people like me, because if I were ever to be like, oh yeah, I mean, this is like, you'd be like, dude, you weren't knocking doors. Like, it's
everybody should go knock doors.
We buy you a plane ticket to Dayton, Ohio, and give you some final expense leads and let you go
in November.
November,
bro. And then we wouldn't want anyone to know where we would go because there wasn't a lot of leads.
Yeah.
So Nina was in here one day, and she didn't want me to tell everyone where she was going because she was crushing it. Okay.
In Hawaii.
In Hawaii.
These little gold mines.
So she was like, I was like, where'd you go? She's like, Minnesota. This is the middle of winter. And then this dude sends me a video with snowshoes on in Minnesota knocking on doors.
Yeah. Oh, that was Zeb. He walked up a big driveway in snowshoes to go to someone's house and sold them.
Yeah, that's legit.
Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to ask you was, we talked about this a bit when we did another call, but I think because I have some friends who are athletes and you have a lot more that play at a lot higher level, but like a lot of athletes have so much potential and they're really disciplined and really smart usually if they played at like the Division I level. And they get stuck like with these, you know, kind of like you, like the training job, or they want to coach forever and they don't make very good money, but they're so talented, but they like get in their head like they have to force it through to make it work in that industry.
Yeah.
And that didn't like you got out of that. Like, why do you think? I guess A, why do you think that happens? And B, how did you go like, dude, I don't want this to be because you were headed that way for a second where it was going to be all around football forever, right?
Yeah, I think part of it is ego. Like, I think, most people just have a really hard time. Like, if they did something for so long, like you played sport, like I started playing football when I was in second grade.
Mm-hmm.
You played until I think I was like, it was a month before my 23rd birthday was like my last game. And especially if you play like at the next level or you're practice squad and you're trying to hang around, and then all of a sudden you're like 28. And from 22 to 28, maybe you made like, I don't know, like $1 million, 1.5 mil, like over 6 years. Like it's not that crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I think that they get to that point and they're like, man, that's 28 years of like an identity. Like I probably have to just go coach or like go to, play in the XFL or whatever. Like that's probably all I can do, or that's like who I am, and that's who people know me to be. Not really like thinking about the fact that they could reinvent themselves or just shift that competitive nature and just put it into something else. But I think part of it is like an identity crisis thing.
Did that make you like, were you like depressed or were you confused or
not really?
Did you go through that or you just pivoted?
It was interesting for me because so the head coach of where I went to go to grad school and I coached, the head strength coach and the head coach came from, they were my coaches in college as a player. And so I basically like New Year's Day 2019 was my last game, the Rose Bowl. And then 6 days later I was coaching and it was like the same schedule, like the same practice times, the same eating, the same meetings, the same everything. It's just I was now a strength coach and not an athlete.
Got it.
And so it was like an extension of another like year and a half of me kind of in the same day to day, just in a different role. So it kind of was like a taper off period, I guess. But I just always loved your teammates, and I like working out and I liked conditioning and I liked doing all that kind of stuff because it was just cut the camaraderie of it. I was an only child, so you have like 110 like brothers on the team, and you just all are kind of in the shit together, and kind of going through tough stuff. And so I enjoyed that, but I never really I don't think had like an identity crisis or anything like that.
The reason I'm asking our friend Brent Abernathy, he has a Olympic gold medal. He played Major League Baseball
He played for Tampa Bay.
for Tampa
For
Bay.
the Rays, yeah.
And I
For a
was
long
talking to
time.
him, and he got hurt, and then he stopped playing, and he said it was like 2 years of like depression and confusion of what he's gonna do with his life, and then he found insurance, and he found that like team building, and built a big agency, and is killing it.
Yeah, integrity partner.
Mm-hmm.
And he's able to, and that's what I was wondering, because I know a lot of people who have athletic backgrounds are so talented at so many things, but they get laser focused. It's like, I wish I could just be like, dude, you could apply these talents and the amount of leverage that you have from the things you've learned to be really good at this one thing, apply in so many ways.
Yeah.
You don't have to get stuck in this one thing, though.
I think that I can't speak to the professional level. I didn't play at that level. But at the top of the collegiate level, I think, honestly, their systems are so elite that it's like plug and play. Like, as an athlete, you really don't have much to worry about.
It's all set up.
It's
for
like,
you.
hey, this is when you need to be here to eat. You need to be here at this time for this meeting. Make sure you're here for practice. This is what you're wearing. Hey, your outfit's going to be picked out for you and put in your cubby. Go grab it out of your cubby so you know what to wear on the plane to, LA and then when we land, we're going to go look at the stadium, and then you go home, and then you do this meeting, and then you have your little bedtime snack, and then you go like,
yeah,
you're just a
That
robot.
sounds amazing.
Well,
Yeah,
dude, you were asking me yesterday about like, because so my wife, so Deborah's doing residency now, working like 70 hours a week, and then I work a lot with this and travel and stuff. And you're like, how do you manage your schedule? And I think like when I stopped playing sports, and then I had a hard major too. Like it was biochemistry was my major in college, and I was going to go to medical school. And so I had to be really good at managing all those things on the athletic side, and then school. Like your major was hard too. So when I started doing insurance, I was so used to having a set schedule. Like I made one for myself.
Yeah.
Or the first 3 months I didn't, but I felt lost. And then once I made myself a schedule, like, and was super organized, I think I took that time management from doing both things in college and then applied it here, which helped me a ton.
But I think
it could be a crutch the other way too, where you're like, no one's planning it for me.
That's the thing. Yeah. I think that's what I really think there's no battleground. Like, obviously, war is war. Like, sports are sports. Capitalism and business is like, it's a for sure, like, in terms of going from being a collegiate athlete to like running your own business, dude. At least the athletes in today's day and age, the way we were so coddled and catered to, like, oh, dude, it's an awakening, because it's not like people are like, yeah, they have to balance school and sports. It's like, no, dude, a lot of that is laid out. Like, you just have to show up, and people will tell you where to go, where to be, what to do, all that. This is like, all right, you got the same 24 hours as him and me, and it's like, structure your day, be efficient, good luck. Like, no one's gonna come save you or come help you set your day up or whatever.
Yeah, imagine if this was structured like that.
Oh my God, it'd be so. If everyone took the time to structure it like that, they would be like, it'd be really hard to fail.
If you had 110 people that were living in a 3-mile radius of this office, and they were here from bell to bell every day, like, everyone would sell 30K a month.
Yeah,
like it would be so structured.
You can't say everyone would, but it sounds like everybody would do well.
Everyone would I think, see their full potential if they had a proper structure.
Yeah, because it's so easy to waste time.
Yeah.
And get distracted. And someone was telling me that. It's funny that you say that. So someone was like, okay, when I went to my job, they told me exactly what to do. Watch this training, do this, go home. Okay. And he's like, and I come here and it's like, I get to decide what I do, and it just gets confusing, and I don't stick to any like regimen. And then I'm not very efficient with my time.
Yeah.
Dude, when I started, and it's evolved over time, but I still every Sunday, like, plan out the entire week. And then Deb and I sit down and plan out like 2 months in advance all the time. So I have her schedule and all the things all my travel. But then every Sunday before the week starts, I like sit down and go through everything. Because if I don't have a schedule, dude, I'll do nothing. Like, I'll go work out for like 5 hours and go mess around. Like, but if I have it, I don't know why, but if I have it written into my schedule, I'll do whatever's written in there.
Me too.
But if it's blank, I'm like, sweet, I'm gonna hang out today. But if I'm like, I have meetings all day and we did a lock-in and this and that, and then, tomorrow I have like meetings planned before my flight and after. And like, I'll do all that stuff, but if I didn't, I would just kind of ride by the seat of my pants and get nothing done.
So the interesting thing, though, in college, if you don't follow that regimen, what happens?
You kind of will phase yourself out.
Or do you get kicked off the team?
I mean, there's a process, but if you're consistently just not, you'll just kind of naturally be kind of like left in the dust, and you'll kind of just.
Does it kind of depend on how good you are, honestly?
I'm sure it would depend on the coaching staff.
Yeah.
Our coaching staff was just like, this is the standard.
Yeah.
Like, this is just what it is. But
that's the right way to do it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that life, like, the more talented you are, the more you produce, you just have a longer leash.
Yeah.
But I think if you're trying to build something big and a culture that will like feed itself, it's like the same. This the standard, regardless of who you are. And a lot of those standards are energy and intentions, like focus. It's not necessarily, not everyone's going to have the same ability or be able to produce the same, but the intentions, the efforts, all that stuff is like, pretty set.
When I was playing in college, our best player, my freshman year, missed like the bus when we were going to the airport to go to playoffs.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the way the coach handled it, because we went to his house and picked him up, but he suspended him for the first game. So he's like, we're going because we need you, but you're still suspended.
Yeah.
But we're making sure you come on the trip with us.
I thought
that was funny. It was like you're going to get disciplined, but we're not leaving you here. Like, you got to come.
We'd have, like, if a guy was late for workouts, he would, like, the whole team would have to do up or late.
That's the best punishment.
That's it. Yeah. That's a good one.
Damn.
Yeah.
So did he keep being late?
No, I mean, that's the type of thing, it's like, and we had some good teams, like sophomore, junior, and senior seasons. For me, we were in college football playoff, Fiesta Bowl, Rose Bowl, like New Year's 6 games, and you could tell a lot of it was just the culture and the standards that were kind of embedded, and it starts at the top, with leadership. But those things just kind of took care of themselves, like that guy wouldn't want to be late again because that punishment of him making all his teammates suffer for his mistake was way worse than if he had to stay after by himself and do 100 up downs or whatever, because he'd probably just be like, whatever,
Yeah, I think that's the right way to do it. Is the standard no matter who, right? Like we were talking about with Deion Sanders, and I don't remember the guy's name still, but they had like a really, really high recruit from high school, and they weren't very good this year. Like they won 4 games, but they didn't play this dude because he was always missing class and showing up late to stuff. But he was like the number 1 cornerback in the recruiting class. Yeah. And you said that I didn't watch the interviews, but they kept asking him about him, right?
Yeah, he would just be like, ask him why he's late to class or whatever it is. So
I should have played him talent-wise, but like he was like, I'm not compromising the standard we're setting here.
Yeah, you just send the message to everyone else on the team that like, hey man, if you're a talented dude or whatever, you can kind of get away with more. But I don't think that's how you build that type of culture that you'd want. But
how has your son's 5 weeks old? Your kids are Atlas is 4.
Turning 4,
and at AC's 2. How has having kids changed your perspective on life? Or has it yet? Has it set in yet?
Yeah, it definitely has. I mean, I always wanted to be a dad, and so it was like a huge deal for me, huge blessing. But I think of it like, he's the greatest gift that I've ever could ever give the world, my family, all these people. I think that how I'll measure success in my life will be like what he has to say about me, like when I'm gone, like when I'm past, and like if I'm still his hero or he still admires me for X, Y, or Z or whatever, that's how I would measure success. So now it's just like, all right, well, now you got this timeline. You don't know how many days you got. We don't know. You got to make the most of them. So it's definitely changed a lot for me, for sure.
That's cool. The same for you? Similar?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a little bit. So one thing that I've thought of recently is like when the kids are young, they adore you. Yeah. Like regardless of what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Like you come home and you're everything to them, right? Yep. But then as they get older, you got to earn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like time. My kids are getting older, so they're starting to copy me. Like Zach came over last night, said the F word, and my kid just started going, dude, maybe like 25 times in a row.
I'm like, oh my, don't say that.
Yeah. So I'm like, yo, this kid's gonna copy everything I do.
Are you sure it was? I think it was you that said that.
It was one of us, but I think it was me because we were playing Madden. Yeah. And I scored, and I haven't beat him in like 30 games. So I think you said it because I scored.
That could be fair. I'll take the blame so that Nicole's not mad at you.
That's true, though. It's almost like kind of scary. You're like,
it's time. It's time to perform, bro. Yeah. You got to keep it together. You have to. And the thing is, like, when things aren't going good, how do you respond? They're going to be watching you then. And so I've thought a lot about that. But I've loved it. I've also thought about this. So, like, when I was 18, I recruited all my friends to sell insurance because I started selling insurance. And, like, none of them made it. They made a couple sales, got some chargebacks. They were out of the business. But they also didn't have a lot of motivation. Now, the people, I'm 34, you guys are 28, but, like, the people between 25 and 35 that I know that are starting to have kids and like having a family, and they're like, yo, this is cool. Like partying's not the coolest thing ever. I want to have a family. I want kids. I want to be successful. Well, dude, this is the best tool I've seen. And I've been talking to people that are doing loans and real estate. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yo, I actually looked up in Las Vegas how many real estate agents there were compared to how many houses for sale there were.
There's more real estate agents.
Bro, it was like some insane number, like 5 times more real estate agents.
Holy crap.
Wow, that's insane.
We should go back and look that up sometime. So now I'm like, dude, you should sell insurance. And they're like, some people are like, well, I don't want to cold call. I'm like, dude, you're not. We're not cold calling.
Yeah.
And then also like how fast you can get paid and like the amount you could get paid and the satisfaction of helping people. And then you got people that you work with, so you get that team environment type of thing going. If you're on a good team, if you're on a bad one, you don't get. I mean, if you're on one where they don't really care, you don't get that.
Right.
Here about that though, like we were talking about this on the training a little bit earlier. Not that I didn't have good mentorship, but I didn't have people that like I felt like knew what they were doing enough to teach me how to build this business the right way. And I moved here during COVID because like Sean was like, hey, Andrew's the best in the company at building a business. And I came out a couple times and like, yeah, I think you're more outgoing now, probably.
You do?
I do.
That's impressive.
But
you just know me a little more.
I know you more. So maybe you're just more outgoing with me. But at that time you were very like closed off. Like I'd be like, hey man, how are you doing? And then he'd like say hi and then go into hide in his office. So I was like, dude, I need to move. I thought I was going to build a big enough business to sell my company. I'm like, I could go somewhere with tax advantages. I'm going to go to Vegas, buy a house in Vegas so that I can like go to Andrew's office and get mentored by him.
He was here
every day.
Single day.
I believe it.
Before everyone else. And I would stay later. And I just didn't want to miss the chance to get mentored by Andrew though. And I'd have like an agenda for him.
Bro, it was like, yo, he would have a list of stuff he's doing and like, what do you think about this? What should I do here? What should I do here? What should I do here? What should I do?
I feel like I
you
call
live
him a
here?
lot with stuff
You
like
live
that.
here?
Yeah, I moved here to get you to. But like my point is, like I think so. Someone once said, one of my guys said one time, they're like, you got really lucky to get mentored by like Andrew and Sean and John. I'm like, dude, those guys didn't want anything to do with me initially, but I was just always there and always like if I can help out. And the way I looked at it was like, well, Andrew has these guys. I'm good at selling. If I can teach him how to sell, and then maybe he'll teach me how to build. Oh yeah, you know, or if I can provide value over here. So for people out there, they're like, I don't have good mentors. It's like, dude, you're probably not being a good mentee or not do it.
Or
like, you
don't make excuses. Go find
them. Yeah, because I didn't like my upline. Great person, but I sold more my first month than she sold her entire career. It's fine, like great, but dude, she didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So I went and found mentors, and I think that people have to, you know, understand like the answer is not like quit and find someone else and be in their hierarchy. It's like no, just be an adult and go build relationships and provide value for people, and they'll want to help you.
So I have a question for you guys because Andrew, what you mentioned about when you're 18, like bringing your friends into the business. So I don't think that this business is hard in this if you're even like kind of a savage in terms of like if you're willing to work.
Mm-hmm.
But I see like a lot of like I'll have buddies who I may think like yeah, like they could definitely do this, but then I think about like some of the days where like you get no showed, just like
bro, it's like injury.
Across the board.
I would like compare it to injuries in sports. So like you're gonna have injuries. What do you do in sports?
Yeah,
you got to work around them,
figure it out,
work through figure it out.
There's some that I'm like it would be good, but on those days, I don't think they'd be able to make it through those days. So how do you know like I think that person can like make it through those days when you're like recruiting?
It's a great question. You want to go?
Yeah. So Nina, the other day when I was talking to her, Nina and Hayden, the first time I talked to them, she was like, "Bro, you almost talked us out of working here."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Why?" And she's like, "You were telling us about chargebacks. Like we were just trying to figure out if we could make money. You were telling us how hard it is." So I tell people how hard it is because like if you're gonna play football at a high level and they said it was easy to you, come here because it's easier here. You don't have to do nothing, whatever. Does that sound right to you?
No.
And would you?
Doesn't sound like something worth doing.
Yeah. So to me, I'm like, dude, this is hard, but if you figure it out,
and it doesn't sound real if it's not hard.
And it is hard.
Yeah.
It is hard.
The other thing, dude, is like
it's simple. People use like they say easy because it's a simple business, but requires hard work.
I think that's what I mean.
It's like some blue collar shit some days.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's simple. It's very straightforward. I think the blueprint to finding relative success to your ceiling is very clear.
Yeah.
But it's just are you able to like really go through it some days?
The other, to your point too, I don't I like to tell people how bad it can be, and then try to get to know them. And I don't try to disqualify people. I let them disqualify themselves.
Yeah.
Because there's some people that I would have never guessed.
Would
So
kill
like
it,
Wiley,
every person.
So Wiley, right? He's our biggest leg now. He's doing probably. I mean, there's team helps probably 1,500 families a month. He's great. When I recruited him, remember when we were supposed to do that meeting in Phoenix?
And he didn't show up.
Dude, everyone hated him. But
he was partying all night. He didn't show up to the meeting.
Yeah, I convinced Andrew and Grady to let him train because he was doing really good selling. And I was like, I believe in you. Like, and he's starting to recruit people. And he missed the flight, didn't show up. I got back to Colorado and had to go find him because he was like,
went
on a bender, like basically face down in a ditch. For like, he was at someone's house, like passed out still. So. But like I believed in him because he just kept going and didn't quit.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, you made me look bad, but I don't care. But like these guys don't respect you anymore. And he was like, I'll make it right. Like I just don't. So, but a lot of people, I remember some people were like, why are you helping him? Like, why do you believe in this guy? I'm like, I don't know. He just won't quit. Like he's got something where and I think a lot of people would have kind of given up on him. Yeah. And I was like, he'll figure it out eventually, because he's got a good heart and he's really resilient. And so I think, you just give people something to do, see if they do it. Give some people something to do, see if they do it. And then if they're not responding, just back off for a while, and then they'll come to you.
Don't give up on them, though.
Don't give up on them, yeah. And I don't like to like judge anyone based on their past. Like you get to know people and figure out about their past. And like I don't want to overshare with his, but like he's been through a lot of stuff, you know. And so I was like, okay, like, dude, he just needs some positive role models in his life, and he's going to figure it out. Mm-hmm. And I can be a positive influence on him, and I can check in on him and make sure he's doing okay. And so I think like sometimes the guys you look at and you're like, oh, maybe that guy would quit on a bad day. Maybe he would, but maybe he's been through some shit in life you don't even know about that makes him like a savage, but it's just deep down, you know?
Like a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to hear something hilarious?
Yeah.
Okay. So when FFL opened up, I was like Wiley, and
you were face down in a ditch somewhere.
Basically. All right, so we do a meeting, and
that's like a prereq to be an insurance agent. We just be an idiot for a while.
We all have so we do a meeting. We're just starting. Okay, it's Sean and like a few of us, and we're in Vegas doing a meeting.
What year was this?
This was I think the year the company opened up, so 2014.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us that were staying in Vegas, we had a flight. All of us had a flight the next day at like 6 a.m. to go to Utah to do a training. Some of us went out and we never went to bed. Okay. And Sean's hotel was right next to ours. So we're coming back to the room as they're all getting their luggage out of the room. They're like, dude, you never went to bed? Like, no. So we fly to Utah to do a training. And I said something crazy in Utah that offended a bunch of people that I'm not going to say during the training. Like it was meant to be
funny,
but I guess it didn't come off that way for some people.
It was funny like a drunk 24-year-old.
Yeah. And that's it. And then Sean was about to kill me, dude. But I'm thinking about what you're saying though. He didn't like give up on me.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's messed up a little bit, right? And that's what he's so good at is dealing with I remember with me, like, okay, like you have these weird like things, and like I remember the first time that you told me he talked about me. He was like, "Oh, I like Zac. He's always drunk though, right?"
And then I met you and you were drunk.
And I was drunk, but I haven't drank in like 3 years now, 2.5 years.
It's been 3 years,
almost. Yeah, it was when I moved here.
Damn.
Talk about that. That's some discipline. Moving to
Vegas
and quit drinking.
Vegas. Yeah.
But like he was so good about like not beating me up about that and like building me up in other areas and like and then I always liked that he shared stuff like that. So I was like, oh, okay, like it's okay to be messed up, and it's okay to not drink, and if you can't handle it, like you shouldn't feel bad about that.
Yeah.
What I started to say is like, if someone's not crushing it right now, I'm not giving up on them because it might not be their time to crush it.
Mm-hmm.
But something could happen, like they could have a baby, they could have something happen that triggers them to be like, yo, enough's enough.
Yeah.
It's like Wetmore got licensed in like 2008 and then never did anything with it. Made one dial, quit, and then got licensed again, and then was part-time for like 3 years. And then when FFL started, he finally started working and he built a huge agency. So you never know, right? Or it's like Easton. The first time I talked to Easton to when he actually started working was like 12 months. He filled out a ZipRecruiter ad. We talked a few times. He kept like putting it off. He was working at a car rental place, kept getting like fake promotions, and then eventually just snapped one day and called me. And so to your point, like, do I have a lot of people who have like worked at other companies or whatever, and like initial conversation, you know, you don't want to blow them out of the water. And then eventually, I always thought about it like this. Like, I wanted them, like if Andrew and I talk, I want him to have a good experience and to like me, so that when he talks to other agents, they'll probably try to pressure him in and he'll be like, no. And so when he finally gets mad at wherever he's at, he's going to go, who was that dude that was pretty cool to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy's, yeah, everyone else was kind of rude, but that guy was nice. I'm going to call him.
Yeah. So will you guys refer agents to somebody who you know who may like fit more of their like voice or sales style, or like, or how do you, if someone needs help, but you sell your way, your voice, your style, but maybe it doesn't match theirs, do you guys steer them to someone else, or how do you guys kind of get them going in that respect?
I like to use trainings for everything. So I know the landscape of everything. So I'll find someone that they can relate to. So like if you were getting started and I was having a hard time relating to you, like there's another guy named Jake on my team who played like Division II football and was a linebacker, and like you guys look pretty similar. He's a big dude. I would send you like his training videos and be like, check this dude out. And you'd go, okay, because I don't necessarily want to like steer them away, but I want them to go, like you can, and then it also buys you a lot of time back. Like if you get good at referring people videos and trainings, like the best way you could train agents is go, hey dude, we did it today. We were doing the IUL. People had a bunch of questions about IULs. I'm like, hey, watch the boot camp.
Yeah.
Because people kept asking me the same questions.
And
I'm like, watch the boot
back.
camp, and then when you're done watching it, text me with questions you have about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, usually what happens is either they have a couple of specific questions that takes you no time to answer, or they watch it and they don't have any questions, or they don't watch it but they don't text you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's what the national convention's for.
Yeah.
Like if you can get a new recruit there, they're gonna find someone they can relate to.
Okay.
And then they can meet them. But I don't move people around on teams and stuff and go, oh, because I couldn't relate with this person.
Yeah.
It's just like, yo, we all help each other.
Yeah, I'm just saying maybe lend an ear or
Yeah.
like. Yeah.
For sure.
But like they should be like Zac and go find who they relate.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you guys when you were selling? Like, did you guys just kind of know your style like out of the gate, or were you guys kind of like searching for it, or how long did it take you guys to like?
Bro, I mean, I was terrible at first. So my first month, I think I sold 5 or 6 policies, and none of them really stayed on the books. But I remember my 6th month, I wrote 17 apps, 15 canceled because someone called it a puppy dog close. I don't know why. I think it was like, take the puppy dog home, and if you don't want it, you could bring it back type of sale.
Yeah.
And then the puppy like ruins their house and they bring it back to the pet store. Because I would be like, you could cancel this, like let's sign up, and you can cancel it whenever you want.
Yeah.
And
free
then
look period.
Yeah, you got the free look period. And then I like would slowly, this was over 10 years of in the field every single week, like 35 appointments plus. And I would just like get better, and I would ask people what they were doing. And one like simple thing was I would never use the word cancel.
Yeah.
I would always use the word, we can adjust this if we ever have to fit your needs and budget. And Betty, you don't want to cancel this because insurance gets more expensive as you get older. It'd be insane to cancel it once you get it. But I'm here to help you if we have to adjust things around or move things around. And that replaced the free look period.
Yeah.
What happened with me was I started the end of 2017. My first 3 months were all like, I think I had like 15 families, like 10, like 15. Not great. And then at that time, you had to lock out leads and put your card on for leads. We should talk about that other story. We've talked about it before probably, but we could share it if we have time.
Let's do it, yeah.
But so I didn't have any money. I maybe had like $5,000, and my credit was really bad because when I first got to college, I took out one of those credit cards that they like hand out.
Yeah.
And I bought something on it and didn't use it for like 5 years. And then I went to get a credit card when I needed one, and they were like, your credit's terrible. I'm like, oh shoot. So they gave me like a $500 limit credit card. So I had no money. And I locked out leads on my debit card in January of 2018 because John Wetmore called me and was like, hey, they got rid of their leads in Cincinnati, Ohio. They don't want them anymore. Do you want them? And I was like, yeah, why not? I don't have anything in South Carolina. And so I committed to those, and then I didn't know how fast they were going to come in, but like that whole week, I think I paid like $1,500 in leads, which was like a pretty big chunk of my net worth at that time.
Yeah.
It was like 30% of my net worth. I'm like, oh crap, that's not good. So I booked a flight to Ohio, and then I started just like rapidly studying everything about mortgage protection, like how to close different scenarios. I started calling everyone, and I just was like, literally like writing out scripts because I was like, if I take this flight, go here, don't sell anything, I'm gonna be out of business. Yeah. And like I'm gonna have no money. I won't be able to pay rent. Like Deborah and I moved to Charleston, South Carolina. I wasn't gonna go to medical school. Like my parents would not have bailed me out. Yeah. Like they weren't a fan of that at that point. So I was like, dude, this is back against the wall time. And then I went out there and I wrote like 10 policies over 3 days. And I was calling. I remember after every appointment, I called like 3 or 4 different people and was like, hey, I messed up. Like, what'd I do wrong? And I was like so attentive because the stakes were so high that I figured it out on that trip. And I never really looked back again.
Urgency.
Yeah, I was like, this is do or die. And so I'm not saying that like putting your back against the wall always works, but it's worked for me a lot of times in this business where I'm like, if like I needed to add a staff person that I maybe couldn't pay for, I'm like, I'll figure it out. I'll sell more, or I needed to add this, or I needed to get an office that's
in those
$8,000 a month. Like I'm going to figure it out,
In those exchanges with the customer, the client, when you were in a home, how did you like temper that energy? Because you probably were really stressed and like the stakes were really high. I'm sure you didn't come off that way.
He just told him the truth.
yeah, I did.
Did you?
I was like, look, they flew me, they flew me up here from Charleston, South Carolina. I have to help you with this. I can't come back. You can't think about it. Yeah. So which one of these do you want to do? And I remember just being like, I literally cannot come back. Yeah. And then I realized like just being super direct and respectful with people, like they're super understanding. Like I remember one time Easton was like, what do you say when people ask if they can think about it? I'm like, I tell them no, they can't think about it. Yeah. He's like, for real? Like, what do you say? I'm like, hey, can I think about it? No, you can't. We need to do something today while I'm here. Yeah. And if you're just direct with people, they're like, oh, okay. But I learned that on that trip because I was like, I can't mess this up. So I'm going to take all these things that I've heard that sound stupid and just try them because I have no other choice.
Yeah.
What if you were like, if you don't get this, I can't even afford to
get back home.
If you don't get this, my girlfriend is way too good for me and she's definitely going to leave me. So you have to get it and you have to keep it forever.
That would probably work.
I would buy.
You got to add, but I'm going to shop all these rates. They're going to be competitive and you need it anyways.
Yeah. But I think, dude, the other thing is like you're gonna go through adversity in business, which is good. Like I know Andrew's been through a ton of it. You've started a different company. You came here and built a huge business. And like I heard something a while ago. It was like if you wanted to like take someone and make them really good at business, like how much hard crap would you put them through? Like if you're making someone in a lab from scratch, like you'd put them through all kinds of hard crap, right? And it's easy if you're thinking about it like from not a human. You're like, I created this person that's pretty smart. Like, what do you put them through to make them a badass, right? Like everything you can think of.
Bullshit.
Yeah, all the bullshit. But we attach emotion to it when stuff doesn't go well. And that's what drowns us instead of looking at it like, oh, this is like a good learning experience.
So to be a top producer, you got to go through a bunch of crap.
Yeah. That was like when when we didn't have any sort of caps on mailers or anything. I locked out leads in Indianapolis, Indiana for final expense leads. An agent of mine did. And they just said, give me as many as possible, which you can, and Marion County has like millions of people in it. So I was getting like, I think it was like $2,000 or $3,000 worth of leads a day, like 3 years into the business. And I was like, I don't know what to do. Like they're just coming in still. And it was attached to my debit card. Like I had no money. So I went out there and I just would stay there for like a week at a time, write business, come back, see Deb for like 2 days, go back out there. And I think like I remember you going like later, you're like, I didn't know that was you, but I remember someone was just eating all these leads because someone canceled it.
Yeah.
But what happened from that was like I was so desperate to find people there that I was recruiting 24/7, and I'm not like an outgoing, like there's people who go to a restaurant and are like, hey, you should do it. That was never me. Yeah. But when I was there, I was like, hey, do you like doing do you like working at a restaurant?
Take some of these.
Like, I'm like, hey, are you sure you want to work at a restaurant forever? You'd be really good at what I do. Like I was recruiting everybody. Yeah. And then I ended up hiring this person that led to another person that led to an agency that does like 1,000 families a month now. And so like I could look at that like, oh, this is the worst thing ever. But long term, it worked out so much in my favor.
Yeah.
And like I learned that like when that was happening, I'm like, oh, like stuff might seem bad right now, but if you zoom out, it's not gonna be a big deal long term.
Right.
Yeah, that's huge. Can you guys talk about the IUL leads and what you guys are doing with that?
Yeah, dude. I'll let Jake talk about most of it because he's going through it. But a lot of people. So we've really started selling IULs a lot, which has been really cool because it's a different market. And for me, looking at it from like a builder perspective, we built FFL and all of our agencies to a really big level, like on mortgage protection and final expense. And if you think about the market for mortgage protection, it's highly dependent on loans and real estate. But even like on the peak real estate market, it's you're getting 1% of the people that actually get a loan or refinance a house, right? So it's like a tiny, tiny little demographic of the country of people. Whereas like IUL is like anyone who's 20 years old to like 70 years old that has some disposable income can get one if they're healthy.
Yep.
There's a massive market. It's like an unlimited market, right? And especially tie into that anyone who doesn't have enough set up for retirement or wants to add more to what they're doing for retirement, which is everybody. So like from a building perspective, I'm like, oh, that takes us from this tiny little, kind of antiquated market, which is mortgage protection. I think I could be wrong, but I think it's kind of a old school market to a huge market where like really it's not really limited because you can get leads for it, but also like that's the one kind of insurance you could sell to your friends or your family or to people you run across.
Yeah.
So looking at it that way, I was like, okay, I want to start. And we really started focusing on, in our agency, getting some of the top producers to start selling IULs. And they've been really happy because it's increased their average premium and it's decreased their amount of chargebacks. Like their persistency is way higher. But I'd never done it with like a brand new person. So when Jake started, I was like, let's test it. I talked to Andrew about it too, about you. I was like, I got this new guy. He's pretty sharp. I think he's going to be good. I kind of want to just have him sell IULs off the bat. You think that's a stupid idea? And you were like, I don't know, maybe not, but let's try it. And I'm like, okay.
Well, someone said to me, they were like, you have these different companies. So you have like WFG, who they recruit and sell a lot of IULs.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got PHP, they recruit, they sell a lot of IULs. And they're both legit good companies, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you got Family First Life, who only uses leads.
Yeah.
And they sell mortgage protection, final expense, and we never really focus on IULs.
Mm-hmm.
But someone said to me, they were like, yo, what if you did leads and referrals and recruited and kind of blended the two things together, the two styles, and then you have a super IMO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is what I think is happening right now because a lot of our agents are getting so well and people that were so like Juan Franco, for instance, right, was a Hall of Fame producer selling final expense and term. And then he was the number 3 overall life producer in 2022 and will be top 3 or 4 this year. And like, dude, Juan goes on more vacations than anyone else I know. Like legit is
Dude,
always
Juan's
on vacation.
A legend.
He's the best. Like he's one of the best people.
His life.
Yeah. Sean's story is not true. He said he had chest pain at altitude. I took him to the hospital. I did not take him on like a scary hike. But yeah, that confused me. Yeah, that's not what happened. No, he was like, oh, the altitude's hurting my chest, and I was like, that's not altitude. Let's go to the hospital.
Well, good thing both of your parents are and your wife are all doctors.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even need to call them.
How'd you know that?
Because I lived at altitude my entire life. I know that chest pain is not from altitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how bad was his chest pain?
Bad, dude. He would walk up the stairs. He's like, oh, my chest really hurts. This altitude's killing me. I'm like, nah. But the doctor said they may not have found it unless he was at altitude because it does accentuate things.
Oh.
Because the blood's like trying harder to pump, and he had a little blockage. So we took him to the hospital to get a stent.
They just did a stent through his leg or whatever. Is that what they do? Dude, that procedure is insane. Like
it was
the
quick,
fact
dude.
that
He flew home like 2 days later.
It is.
Yeah, like they just go through your vein and.
The best part about that was his wife. He called his wife when he was there, and she was like, well, are we still going to go to Greece next month?
The next vacation.
And he was like, yeah. She's like, good, because I don't want you to ruin our Greece vacation. We've been waiting on that for a while. I'm like, dude, these are my favorite people ever. But
damn,
so
dude, did she say, are you okay?
No, I don't think so. I think it was implied when he said, yeah, like we'll be in Greece. Don't worry about it. So, but point is like someone like that who was like, dude, I don't really want to grind out like this forever, but like I have a good sales skill set and I can leverage higher end clients and, and find people on social media and stuff. And like, dude, if a 60-year-old dude from Colombia can build a massive social media following on IULs, like a lot of people could do that too.
Yeah.
So if
And
someone,
he's really good.
If someone wanted to reach out to you guys about the leads and what you guys are doing,
well, we can do it through. So they're through ILC now. So I'm glad Integrity got that set up. And they can also reach out and they could text me 970-210-2624. We have a boot camp on it. Jake, if we have time for 2 minutes for him to go over kind of what that's been like and what the clients are like, because I remember someone told him they're like, you should sell final expense now. It's 2, and today he was like, dude, I don't want to do that. I just want to sell IULs. I like the clients.
You should sell it in person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like kind of what the clients have been like, and like the sales process, you don't know everything about everything, but you're just like talking to people and like just go through kind of general overview of what it's been like.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I saw it as kind of a cool opportunity. It like talking to Zac was something that he's like, I think we can kind of spearhead this thing and like really like go after this and kind of be like something that's kind of a separator like with this product. And I was like, sure, I don't know much about anything else, so I was happy to do it. But the more I learned about the product, like younger dudes in their late 20s 30s, like I have buddies that have like young families and stuff too. Like I would never be like, hey dude, you need like $40K for like a final expense policy. No, but like I would definitely talk to them about IUL. So that kind of interested me, and I think because it would be totally something that I would sell to warm market. It was like, oh, this would be really easy to talk to about with someone who inquired, about it and was actually like wanted to pursue this and maybe knew a little or not much at all about it, but like kind of wanted to hear more info. But the leads, I mean, I would say the consumer, I would say 70% of them are like, it kind of rings a bell when you was like, hey, I got, you requested information on the IUL. Yeah. And so I would say that, I would assume it's going to really start to pick up a lot because of social media and because it's kind of like it's like a hot thing to kind of talk about.
It's all over TikTok.
Yeah, like infinite banking, be your own bank type thing. And so some of those people you kind of have to temper a little bit. And
I just got a call. So this dude that worked with me, I don't know, 10 years ago, and he worked in the office. He was like, hey, I've seen a bunch of stuff. I just had a baby. I've seen this.
Was that when you called me for help with the illustration?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to. I'm a little rusty, so I was like, Zac, did I do this right?
Yeah.
And but dude, I didn't sell it. TikTok sold it.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of them come like already like, this is what I want. Like, but how does it really work? Or like,
like what does it
is
look
this
like?
true? Can I actually do? And you have to kind of like manage expectations a little bit. Like, well, yeah, you can. It's a really flexible financial tool, but it does have to build cash value. It kind of like, you got to work with it a little.
Have you had a lot of people go like, hey, I saw a lot of people talking about this, but I couldn't find anywhere to inquire until I found your ad. That's why I clicked on yours.
Dude, it's like your marketing dollars are going way further.
Yeah. A lot of people are like, I've been trying to find someone to help me with this, but everyone else I've messaged, they haven't got back to me, and I could fill out actual lead with you.
Yep.
Yeah. So higher quality too, because they're warmed up a little bit from all the other stuff.
Facebook is so good about once you click on something like that, dude, they're getting blasted with it.
Dude,
over and over and over again.
My client now that called though, he was like, I want to do really good in retirement, and I still gave him the advice to do multiple things for retirement. I didn't say this is the best thing ever and it's gonna do all these different things. I was like, yo, you need to diversify. So do this, and then you also should probably do a few other things as well.
Yeah. It's like if someone's like, yeah, I remember, but I already have a pretty big retirement. Like, oh, okay, what do you have? I have 401k. Awesome. This is the perfect product to
diversify.
Yeah.
Supplement that.
So yeah,
I'd be
there's-
sketch if someone was like, "You don't need to do anything else. This is the only thing. It's the perfect thing." Would you?
yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, just like Zach was saying earlier, when we were talking to the crew, like, you know, if someone's like, no, get all that money out of the 401k, like Zach was like, is your employer matching it? Yeah, we'll keep that. I'm definitely not going to tell you to mess with that, but this is a really good,
Yeah.
you know, supplement, and it's like a Swiss Army knife, just so to speak.
And that's the thing. If you do the right thing by the clients, then
Yeah.
they keep coming back and referring you people. And like if you try to take shortcuts and that's what the thing I've told people is like, these are people who make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So like you want to be super clear, not overpromise on anything, because people that make good money are also the ones that will sue you if you do something wrong.
Yeah.
So you don't want to mess around with that. And those are the people that are going to expect you to call after a year and do an annual review and go over the statements with
update their
them
stuff.
and update everything and
Yeah.
change this and change. So like, it's great to have people that are like that and that work and, you know, have good money, but you have to be super, like if you mess that up, you're going to pay for it because those are the people that will take you to task for it too.
Yeah. I think it's a really good tool for like, for tax purposes and stuff. It's a really good tool. So like business owners, I've had a few.
Yeah, but the death benefit too,
Yeah.
like when I look at the worst case scenario and I'm like, okay, you're gonna put in these are just fake numbers, but I go, if you live to 100, you're gonna put in 200 grand, and your
Yep.
death benefit's gonna be 3 million
Probably like
or
3,
whatever it
yeah.
is. It's like, dude,
Even just that. Yeah.
just that alone would
Yep.
be worth it. So let's add in the potential growth, the cash value, all these other things.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. What could you get on the market that has a like 2.5 million whole life for whatever you're paying?
I
a
see
month?
some people that try to knock it, like, this is so not a good idea. You can do all this trading and you can get better returns. And I'm like, bro, people aren't gonna go do all that trading.
And no one's saying not to have money in
Other
stocks
things.
and
Yeah.
and real estate, like do all that stuff.
I
But
have
this is an additional tool.
And I have a real story that's true that I will mention to people all the time. Is like, my mom was a school teacher. She worked for 3 decades. She was a single mom, like worked really hard for the nest egg that she had at the end of her career, just to see her 401k drop like 30% the last 18 months right before she retired. It's like, damn, that's tough, man. Like,
Yeah.
for someone to work that long and to see that dwindle that fast just in the last, moments right before they're going to stop working. So I'm like, if you do have a 401k, that's fine. I'm not going to tell you what to do or not do with your present situation, but this is also something that's nice to have just to supplement that, because I've seen it,
Yeah.
it can be tough.
Crazy, man.
Well, hey, Drew, thanks for having us in, man. Appreciate